Bilderberg, maybe you haven't heard about this, but this is a annual invitation-only conference that brings together about 120 to 150 of the world's most powerful people, including political leaders, business executives, bankers, academics, media figures. They all get together and they plot and plan basically our future. And that plan happened over the weekend in Sweden. Many powerful people got together and had an agenda that was something out of a dystopian movie. But first, let me tell you a little bit more about Bilderberg. It was founded in 1954 at the Hotel de Bilderberg in the Netherlands, which is why it has the name. It was created, they claim, to foster dialogue between Europe and North America, especially during the Cold War. And the key founders included Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, David Rockefeller. The people that attend are presidents, prime ministers, central bankers, CEOs, Google, Goldman Sachs, BP, media moguls, and occasionally royalty. Notable past attendees are Bill Clinton, Henry Kissinger, Angela Merkel, Jeff Bezos, Christine Lagarde, Emmanuel Macron. So you get all of these big political figures, they get together and they plot and plan our future. Why is it controversial? Well, not only do you have all these big, powerful names that get together and they, the big, powerful names that get together and they plot and plan, but it's no media access whatsoever. There's no public transcripts. There's strict off-the-record rules. The group follows what are called Chatham House rules, which we have criticized on this show before because that means participants can show up. You can know who was there. You can know they're allowed to talk. The participants are allowed. The participants aren't supposed to say who else was there. So if the organization puts out the list, which they do for Bilderberg Group, then you're allowed to know. But the others are not allowed to say when you're in the meeting. You're not allowed to say who said what. So you can share the information. So it's basically a propaganda tool because you're allowed to share the information. You're just not allowed to say who said it. So it's unattributable. You're just out there spewing talking points essentially. And that's it. Like you're just spewing talking points and nobody, and you can't say, well, I heard this from so-and-so, or I heard this from there. It's just talking points that you're spreading out there. So they're allowed to basically coordinate behind closed doors. It's very much like the World Economic Forum or other sorts of elite groups that get together and plot and plan. So let's talk about who was there. We had Alex Karp. This is the CEO of Palantir. He was there, as well as Peter Thiel, and they were there together. We also saw Nadia Calvino, president of the European Investment Bank, Mark Rutte, who is the NATO Secretary General and former Dutch Prime Minister. He was there. Christopher Donahue, commander of the U.S. Army Europe and Africa. So you know that the military is getting involved. Satya Nadella is the CEO of Microsoft. Albert Barella, the CEO of Pfizer, was at attendance to this. This is just some of the people. Daniel Ek, the CEO of Spotify. Borji Ekholm, the CEO of Ericsson. Christian Suing, the CEO of Deutsche Bank. Jane Fraser, the CEO of Citigroup. Murray Auchincloss, the CEO of BP. Stacey Abrams was also there. She was like the one that the Democrats are hanging their hat on as hopefully their next, maybe one of the next big players in the Democratic Party. She was there. Here are the types of things that they talk about. Let me just show you this. This is from this meeting that happened over the weekend, June 12th to June 15th. They talked about the transatlantic relationship. Like, how's the relationship between the United States and Europe? Ukraine, of course, was second on the list. This is what we must talk about is what are we going to do with the war in Ukraine? The U.S. economy, Europe. They talked about the Middle East. They talked about authoritarian axis. What is that? That would be Russia, China. So they're talking about BRICS, right? The authoritarian axis. Defense, innovation, and resilience. Oh, really? Defense, innovation, and resilience. So we got to build more weapons. We've got to ensure that we're innovative and resilient and constantly warmongering. They're also talking about AI, deterrence, and national security. That is not something I want to hear in the same sentence. I don't want to hear AI in the same sentence as deterrence and national security, because that means Palantir, who was there, right? They're sitting there thinking, well, we can use AI to do facial recognition and basically do Minority Report style scanning to see who's going to be the terrorist and then get them before they actually commit the act of terror. Look at their social media posts. Find out what their viewpoints are. Are they against the establishment? Are they saying things they shouldn't be saying? Well, then that we're going to use the Palantir AI and we're going to get them. We're going to make sure we shut them down before they start acting up. Proliferation is another thing they talked about. Geopolitics of energy and critical minerals. And here was a strange one on the list. Depopulation and migration. Okay. So what's interesting is we don't get to know what they talked about under these topics. We know that these are the topics they talked about, but we don't know what they said, and we don't know who said what. So when they say depopulation and migration, that could be something as innocent as them saying, hey, look, we've got a population crisis. People aren't having enough kids. We need to do something to boost up the population. We have, a lot of migrants coming in. That's not good. People aren't happy about that. They could be reasonable in this conversation. Or the conversation could be something like, well, we need to bring in a lot more migrants and we need to depopulate. We need to lessen the population of all of these right-wing whiteys in Europe. Get rid of them and bring in the migrants. I mean, it could have been something like that. We don't know because this is a shadowy meeting. We don't get transcripts. We're not allowed in. Yet some of the most powerful people in the world attend this meeting. They trade ideas with each other. They go back to where they came from, where they have a lot of influence and power, and they start to persuade their governments. And that is why this is so problematic. These people in power are essentially acting as a shadow government with all of their power, and they're able to persuade public policy without us really even knowing where this public policy generated from, the discussions that were had around it, what their end game is. It's very dystopian entirely. And some of the names that are off, that was just some of the there was 150 people that showed up to this thing, and it was just the laundry list of CEOs, presidents, ministers, political ministers, CEOs of corporations, military people. It's just lots and lots of, it was just absolute, you get all these powerful people, and these powerful people getting together in our futures. Hey guys, thank you for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson Show, which you could check out Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern at KimIversonShow.com. See you there.